Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, another edition. Hope everybody is doing well. We got the final show of the week here. We got a big weekend. You know what? I was mentioning this with Bill Burt the other day, who I know you all saw on the show. This is like the greatest time of year, like for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons, though, is in the sports world. You got the March Madness, you got the playoffs, kind of the basketball and hockey season coming to the end, and baseball starting up. But today, well, I'm very excited about this. I have a very big guest. He's a guy I've known. I've got to interview over the years. I've actually known him for many years. He's a North Shore product, as so many of us know, and a great guy giving back to the community. But NHL, Boston Bruins great, defenseman, Hockey Hall of Famer, one of the best defensemen to ever play the game. Raymond Bourque is going to join the show here in just a couple of minutes. So Ray, in his retired from hockey life, is far from retired. He does all sorts of things, including runs the Ray Bourque Foundation, which is doing so much great work, charitable work, and we're going to get into that. It's got a couple big nights and a couple big days on the horizon here as we move towards spring. We're in spring, but doesn't quite feel like it yet, but we'll be there shortly. But as the warm weather kicks in, he's got a lot of stuff going on, so we're going to talk about that. Ray's been a big part of the community for so many years. I think pretty much you talk to people on the street, so many people have got to meet him just because he's a out and about guy, and he raised his kids in this neck of the woods. So nevertheless, he's a north of Boston guy and does a lot of work for charities around here, and just a good guy who does good things for people. So we'll talk about that with Ray. Hope everybody's doing well. Of course, we're watching. I don't know. I've addressed it a little bit on this show, but it does seem weird, doesn't it, with the like a war going on, the war in Ukraine, of course, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I was just driving by City Hall in Peabody, actually, which I thought was interesting, and I don't know why I feel the need to tell this story, but I just do feel the need because it caught my attention. I thought City Hall in Peabody, they have the big American flag flying high. Right as you about to get to downtown Peabody, City Hall, big, just like you would expect, the American flag. And then right next to it, you got the Ukrainian flag there flying as well. And I don't know why it was so striking for me driving through Peabody today, but I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you. It got my attention. I'm sure it gets most people's attention when they drive through Peabody. And I don't know. I keep thinking about that war going on. It just seems like a whole different universe. Like it's not even happening on this planet, like almost, but of course it is. And I don't know, it's just very sad, some of the stories we're hearing over there. So but anyway, I thought that was cool going through Peabody. I actually learned a little civics lesson too. They didn't have a Ukrainian flag in Peabody, but they have like a lot of connections to Ukrainian people, helped build a lot of the city in Peabody. And I talked to the mayor's chief of staff, actually, and they were saying they didn't have a Ukrainian flag on hand, so they had to go out and buy one, and now they're flying it high and proud, and we'll continue to do so here as this war goes along. Also, the American flag has to be just always a little bit higher. That's the rule, I think, the civics rule. You have to have the American flag a little bit higher than whatever other flag, whether it be an Irish flag for St. Patrick's Day or whatever else. So that's the deal. I remember my grandfather telling me that back in the day. So I remembered it a little bit, but that is the deal. He was indeed right. So anyway, we're thinking about the people in Ukraine. But Ray Bourque has a big night tonight for his Ray Bourque Foundation. He's got several other big events coming up. So we're going to talk about that with him in just a moment. Boston Bruins, great. This guy was so good. For all the kids who don't know, like I'm getting older now, so like maybe I'm noticing like a lot of my younger cousins maybe didn't get to see Ray Bourque. He was the guy. He was like the best defenseman out there, offensive defenseman too. He was like the guy you always wanted out there in the big moments, whether you needed a goal or you were protecting the net. Ray was unbelievable, man. Unbelievable player, probably a better human being too, but an absolutely unbelievable player. And, he always said, I think the one regret was he couldn't bring a Stanley Cup to Boston. You remember traded him to Colorado. That was the cool thing, kids, is when he got traded to Colorado, he won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche. And like people around here loved him so much that not only would they buy jerseys that were half Bruins, half Colorado Avalanche, but they literally had a parade for Ray Bourque. Like, think about that. That would never happen today because there's been too many championships now. Every team has won. Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, Patriots, of course. Like, we've had parades for all these teams. So the standards are set higher now. But at that time, early 2000s it was, When I think he won, what was it? I think it was the year 2000. I'm sure he doesn't forget, but 2001 maybe. But when he won with the Colorado Avalanche, they literally had a parade in Faneuil Hall or at City Hall for Ray Bourque. I mean, it was just like the championships parade. People loved this guy that much that they had a parade just for him. Again, would never happen nowadays because the standards have been set too high. But people were craving a championship so much back in those days here in Boston that they said, you know what? Ray won one. That's close enough. Let's have a parade. I don't know. It's a great memory for me. And I'm sure it was a great moment for him. Maybe I'll ask him about that if I get a second here. But let's bring in Ray Bourque. Ray, I know everybody has been probably following your work and maybe following you on Twitter and all that stuff, but all the great work you're doing with the Ray Bourque Foundation, and it's a busy time of year for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called the Bourque Family Foundation, and we're trying to build something here nice for my kids and our grandkids to, build something solid that lasts and helps raise money and to donate to a lot of different causes around New England. So the Bruins Foundation have been kind enough to have us benefit from the proceeds at the 50-50. The Bruins have this game 50-50 raffle that different charities get to benefit from this. And tomorrow night at the Bruins game, it's for us. And they're running something pretty special in terms of they're guaranteeing half of $77,000, half the pot to a winner tomorrow night. Those pots are not always, it's not always the case. Sometimes you'll have 20,000 to share, 30, and sometimes maybe 100,000, a couple of hundred. But tomorrow there's a guarantee of 77,000. That's going, half of that's going to a winner, and they've got this great deal that I think is a great bargain. It's $77. You get 300 tickets, so a lot of chances to win. So for me, I think that's the best deal going. I'd jump on that. Yeah. We're hoping, I'll be at the game tomorrow. Some of my family members, my wife and I, and my daughter and grandkids, will be going around the garden tomorrow, selling tickets and hopefully raising a lot of money for our foundation.
Cool. And just so people know, this show's going to air Thursday. So this is the Thursday night. Tonight's game versus the Lightning is when this will end up airing. So go see Ray. You might bump into him in the corridors there if you go to the game and participate. I noticed the number 77. That's probably a lucky number for you, I would guess, right?
Yeah, I kind of only got half of that. Sorry.
No, I was just saying there's no secret why they chose the 77, of course, right?
Yeah, well, it worked pretty well. They had Pasternak a couple of weeks ago do something similar. Hopefully it goes as well as it did for Pasta. We would be very happy.
How important is it for you to, it seems like ever since you've retired from the game, it has been very important to you to keep connected to your community and keep doing all these great things. How important is that to you?
Well, I think it's something that you learn as a Bruin, NHL player, that we've gotten involved, every year from the beginning of my career. The Bruins were very involved in their community, giving back. So it's something that you become accustomed to. And then as you do more and more of it, and, as things kind of have grown here with a lot of different players, athletes kind of starting their own foundations and, and jumping in and that way where, some may lock into one cause, or in our case, we jump into a lot of different causes. But like we've created 3 events where we have a golf tournament that's been very successful, that we have a lot of different, charities that we'll donate to. And then the road race and the walk is the same thing. It's not one particular thing, but we created this gala that we had 3 years ago that we wanted to create again the last couple of years, but because of COVID, we've had to postpone like 3 or 4 times, and it's back on this year, September 28th, and we're locking into one thing, and that thing is ALS in memory of Pete Frates and everything that he did for ALS and the things that him and his family has gone through, and with Nancy and her family jumping on board. I think it's going to be a very special event. The funds are going to go to ALS research and the Pete Frates Family Foundation. So, they're doing great things at Mass General for research. So with everybody's networking, I think it could be a very special event where we could create an incredible buzz and raise a lot of money for ALS. So we're very excited about that. And finally, hopefully it's going to happen in September, and that's September 28th. And to find out all about our foundation, you go to bourquefamilyfoundation.org. You'll find out about the gala, the golf tournament, and the road race and walk that will happen previous to those two to that gala. So, we have fun with it. We've raised quite a few dollars since our beginning, and that was over 5 years ago. So we're really happy and proud of what we've done so far.
I was thinking of you the other day because Pete's wife was, I believe she got an honorary doctorate from one of the schools for her work in helping raise funds. And you became very close with Pete, didn't you? I remember seeing pictures of you guys doing events together, and those must have been special meetings with Pete Frates.
Yeah, I got to meet Pete not long after he was diagnosed with ALS, and I remember meeting with Pete and his parents at Tresca upstairs, where we're throwing some stuff around about how can we raise money for ALS, and we're talking about putting on a hockey game with a lot of NHLers or ex-NHLers, and it was great getting to know Pete and his family. And the first time I met Pete wasn't long after he was diagnosed with ALS, and we met at Tresca to kind of get together and try to talk about how we could possibly raise money for ALS. And Nancy and John and Pete were talking about a hockey game that ended up happening a few years later with a lot of NHL guys that went to BC and BU that really took ALS to heart. And so they're a special family. Pete was a special guy. He fought like crazy to try to make a difference. And, it's just sad to see people that are afflicted with this disease. And seeing Pete go through it for 11 years, showed me and everybody that was close to Pete what this thing is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Again, Ray Bourque joining us as we get towards we're pushing towards spring here. You're going to be at the Bruins game Thursday night. People jump onto the Bourque Foundation, Family Foundation, and try to get involved there. There's several different events you can get involved with, as Ray was saying, the golf tournament.
I forgot, Drew, I forgot to say that to buy some raffle tickets, you've got to go to Boston Bruins .com/5050, and that's bostonbruins.com/5050 to get your tickets. And remember that the best deal you get is 300 tickets for $77. That'll give you plenty of opportunities to win half the pot of $77,000. That's guaranteed.
77. I hear that. All right. Hey, do you get excited this time of year? I know I do, man. You got the NHL season coming towards the end. Playoffs are right around the corner. Warm weather. I know for you, there'll be some golf involved. It's a great time of year, right?
Well, for me, there's been golf involved since November. It never stopped because I've been in Florida this whole time, and I'm in town for a few days to go to the game tomorrow. And but yeah, I mean, we've all been waiting a few things have come together here. The trade deadline, spring, and when those things happen, that playoff hockey is right around the corner, and we know that the Bruins are going to be part of that playoff. So it's exciting times, and you know, the Bruins acquired a pretty special player in Lindholm, and I think that's going to really help their chances down the road here.
I know you're such a big ambassador for the game, of course, still. How is the state of the game? You happy with it? You feel good about the NHL game right now?
I think the game is in great shape. It's a fast moving game. I think there's so many great teams out there. Nobody runs away from it. I mean, the playoffs are going to be spectacular. Both conferences, the top 8 teams. I don't care if it's an 8th place team or a 1st place team. There could be upsets left and right because it's so close. And anybody could beat anybody, and so it should be very interesting. Parity is large and strong in the NHL, and I think we're going to see that in the playoffs.
One thing, and I'll end with this one. One thing I've always wanted to ask you that I don't think I've ever had the chance to do. Some of the young kids here, even my younger cousins who are grown men now, don't remember when you went to win the Stanley Cup in Colorado. And they had a parade back here in Boston for you. They don't. It's just it's amazing to think about. Do you remember that day pretty clearly? I mean, what was that day like for you back here in Boston?
Well, when I left, I know that the situation here wasn't a very healthy one, and I think a lot of Bruins fans came with me to Colorado. And the first year I went over, we lost in the semifinals to Dallas, and I knew that I was going back for another year. And coming back for the summer, a lot of people that I would run into just would tell me that I kept them up late at night, that they were following me out in Colorado and hoping that things were going to turn my way. And that year it didn't, but the next year it certainly did. Um, and then after winning a cup, getting a call from my agent asking if I'd be willing to come back because the mayor wanted to do something for me at City Hall was a pretty weird, ask, and not one that I thought, I should do. But my agent said, "Why don't we clear it with the Bruins to see what they think?" And they, they had no objections, and that's the only reason why I decided to do it. But when I went there and saw 10,000 people out there in the crowd cheering and celebrating with me, it was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, I think it just probably showed how loved you were here. I think it was a cool moment for the city. Anyway, if you see people see you in the corridors of the Garden tonight, give you a wave and go get some raffle tickets. I think that's the deal here. The Lightning are in town. Should be a good hockey game. You still enjoy watching a good hockey game in person, I'm sure.
Always, always. It's the best game to watch live. And if you haven't, you definitely got to take one on because there's nothing like it.
No, good. Well, you got the Florida tan working well. I hope the family is doing well. And it's been great to talk to you here, Ray. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule. I really appreciate
Pleasure.
it.
Pleasure. Thank you, Drew. All the best. Take care.
All right. There you go. Raymond Bourque. Doesn't get any better than that. Like I said, great guy. I've actually known Ray. I think I kind of hinted at it at the beginning, but I've known him since I was a youngster. Helped coach some little league back in my hometown of Danvers back in the day, and that's where I got to know him. And it's funny. He's been good to me, and I think he's good to everybody he meets. But he's been good to me ever since. So great guy, Ray Bourque. Thank you so much for taking some time here with us. Got some good charity work in, charity talk in. He has great causes, so go support them if you can. And I kind of love guys like that who take their, what the podium they're on and use it for good. Let's face it, not every star athlete has done that in their life. And Ray's done a lot of great things here for this community, and he continues to raise a lot of money. And of course, great work with the Frates Foundation too. And he got to know Pete Frates very well. I remember seeing a bunch of those pictures, and I know he was there through a lot of that with Pete. So it's cool to see him raising money for the Frady's Foundation as well. And yeah, Ray's just an all around good guy. Again, it's the Bourque Family Foundation. And the website is the bourquefamilyfoundation.org for those of you who want to go check it out and maybe help out some great causes. And like he said, if you see him walking around the garden, make sure you go say hello to Ray Bourque. He doesn't mind it. He's a friendly guy, as you can see. So thank you, Ray Bourque. Big thank you to Sarah Blackstone as well, producing this show. Not always the easiest thing. When I'm not really easy in general. I'm not easy when I'm in the studio. I'm probably not easy when I'm in the kitchen either. But big thank you to Sarah Blackstone for making these shows happen when we choose to do them at home and when we choose to do them back in the studios in Newburyport. That's where she is. Thank you for all the good work. Sarah Hayden, the boss. Thank you as always. And again, one last thanks to Raymond Bourque. Talking a little bit about the Bourque Family Foundation there, and it's back home for a little bit. I think it seems like he's going back to Florida for a little while. Not warm enough yet, apparently, for Ray. Good for him. But he's a local guy who does a lot of good stuff. So Ray Bourque, thank you, sir. That has been Live at Drew's House, another edition. All right, we'll see you next time, everybody. Peace.